addresses the elephant in the room. We've had an absolutely unacceptable amount of gun violence in our community as of late. There's really no rhyme or reason to it. It is what we call a very deadly formula, recipe that is brewing when you have conflict and you have guns. These are apparently very acts between people who know each other or have some issue with each other. They're not random, but they have certainly kept our police department busy. And coming into the warmer weather, coming into the summer months, of course this is of great concern to us because we know that generally in the summer times there's usually more violence everywhere, and that's not just in Savannah, that's across the nation. So we have a game plan that deals with crime reduction. We have a game plan as it relates to solving crime. We have a game plan as it relates to community and neighborhood participation. And we have a game plan in terms of making sure that people who do not belong in our streets are not on our streets. And in the coming weeks, you will see expanded conversations with our prosecutorial friends and our judicial friends to make sure that we're all on one accord as it relates to that. We also have had a strange bump, unlike what I've seen in my years here, of officer-involved shootings. I believe the GBI has, they're investigating 35 this year. And some of them we are still waiting clearance on from whatever party as it relates to events that has happened here. Though, as you know, I don't know anything to talk about because we don't handle our own cases, the GBI does. But I do know that whenever an officer is placed into a situation in which they feel that they have to use deadly force, is an issue for the entire community. And certainly, if people are involved that have mental illness issues, it hits a failed opportunity for our general community to address the issues of mental illness. And hence, our ability to engage our state partners to make sure that people that have mental illness have what they need to be okay, to avoid incidents or encounters with the police. So that being said, we'll wait as we have to the GBI and then the district attorney to determine what the facts are. And we will abide by whatever the facts are. If it's determined the officer acted appropriately, then we'll support that officer. And then likewise, if the officer did not act appropriately, then we'll take appropriate action as it relates to that. But in the meantime, we don't draw conclusions, we don't surmise, we just wait for the determiners of fact to make their determinations. We continue to pray for the Ukrainian people, and I'm still very, very enlightened, proud just to see the resilience of the Ukrainian people as they fight and they stand up and they fight against terror and evil being inflicted upon their country. There are news reports that have seen Russians coming in, but Russians not staying in. And they literally being chased out of countries or areas being taken over by Russians, and then they're taken back by the Ukrainian people. And so in the coming days, you'll see us roll out ways that we can support the Ukrainian efforts here in Savannah. And as a show of support, we have recently began illuminating City Hall in yellow and blue. And that is in support of the Ukrainian people. We also know that we are on the back end, hopefully, of some severe weather this week. And we're sending out our prayers and support to our friends and neighbors in Bryan County who experienced some devastating weather on Tuesday. As I announced, Savannah Fire deployed personnel and apparatus to Ellabelle and Bryan County to assist in the search and rescue efforts in the aftermath of the tornadoes and severe weather. Savannah Fire sent the magnificent Engine 7, the awesome Rescue 2, Special Operations Chief Brandy and Assistant Chief Hardy to help. And these resources responded with pool of fire assets, and they were joined by units from Hinesville and Hardyville, South Carolina. And our team worked in the neighborhood searching homes for victims. Prior to Savannah Fire's arrival, one deceased victim was located by another fire agency. Our team worked through the structures, many with heavy damage, to ensure that they were clear and they did not find any other victims. I extend my thanks, as always, to Savannah's bravest, Savannah Fire, for their bravery and their commitment to duty and support of our neighbors in their moment of need. It cannot be understated how close this was to Savannah. We have employees, we have family and friends that live in these surrounding areas that were hit. And so as we count our blessings, we need to do what we can to be able to support those that were affected. We are in a strange weather pattern, and this is certainly not unknown to us, but the weather has gotten more and more disastrous, more and more dangerous, and so we need to make sure that you have a plan. If something is happening, make sure you have a way to contact your family. Make sure you know where to go, who to go, where you're going to meet up with. Make sure you have important papers and information. Have it in the cloud. Have it where you can access it. So Chatham Emergency Management is a great resource, and we will post information as it relates to that to ensure that everyone knows how and where and what to do in the case of severe weather. This week, we've marked the end of the 2022 legislative season, and I certainly don't know what much to think about it. It was a strange session, a lot of movement as it relates to elections and crimes and criminal justice, certainly a lot on education. Locally, I was extremely disappointed but not surprised that our hotel-motel tax did not pass. You know, it is what it is. I thank the members of our delegation that supported the city of Savannah, supported our council, supported our residents in doing what we asked them to do in Atlanta. And the legislative game is, you know, sometimes you get what you want and sometimes you don't. So we didn't get what we wanted, and some folks didn't get what they wanted either. So it is what it is, and you know, we reload. Just unfortunately, that there are opportunities here in our community that we will not be able to address. We just won't. The funds won't be there, so we move on to something else. But this was a wonderful, magnificent opportunity for visitors to pay for stuff that the residents of this city would not have to pay for. And again, it happened across the state this year. This session, it happened across the state, and it didn't happen in Savannah, who would have benefited more than anyone else. So, it is what it is. So, again, I just thank there were members of our legislative delegation, that listened to us and heard us and understood the need for us to be able to supplement our very tourist-heavy resources. Again, River Street, which we really wanted to make sure that we were able to do something significant with. As you know, River Street is our most heavily traveled area, and she shows where of that. And so we wanted to create opportunities for a huge renovation, and the funds from that would have helped with that. It didn't happen. So, c'est la vie. In other news, tomorrow, a new addition is coming to town, and I say that because the city will, for the first time, open a limited number of parking spaces, 300, in the Inmark Arena's permanent parking lot, which is making progress, but is still under construction. We know that this is a sold-out show, and we ask people to make sure you have a plan now. Don't roll up to the Inmark Arena and try to figure it out. Don't roll up to the Inmark Arena and say, I'm going to park in the neighborhood, park in front of somebody's house. You will be told. You will be told. And you will party, and then you'll have to catch an Uber home, and that's not fun. So please make sure you do that. But 300 parking spaces, again, it only gets better from here. We only keep adding as our infrastructure catches up with the arena. But you must pay for parking online at inmarkarena.com prior to the show. Again, don't wait till the last minute. inmarkarena.com. The 2,000 space parking lots completion has been delayed due to extensive environmental remediation. And so half of the spaces are expected to be completed in the next few weeks and the others in the coming months. Again, it only gets better from here. And so the 300 spaces coming online this Friday adds to the 400 garage spaces and the 1,400 temporary parking spaces we've made available for events as we wait final completion. And so if you don't want to pay for parking, there is still free parking. There's parking, a free shuttle from the arena to the Civic Center downtown. And a lot of folks have done the shuttle. They like the shuttle. They say the wait is minimal and it's extremely convenient. So the shuttle is always an option. Yesterday, we also had the great opportunity, City Manager and I, to invest in the economic equity of our citizens through an announcement of a new partnership with Savannah Technical College. And I appreciate my colleagues on the City Council, our City Manager, Jay Melder, our former City Manager, Pat Monahan, all Team Savannah, Dr. Kathy Love of Savannah Tech, and the entire Savannah Tech team for making this partnership a reality. As I said before, the 4 pillars of self-sustainability is employment, is housing, is child care, and is transportation. And this deals with the pillar of employment. While $135 does not seem like a lot to many of us, but when we're talking about tuition for a professional certification, this $135 is a challenge. And so this becomes a barrier. And through this, we're able to remove this barrier. The City of Savannah has made the commitment, and we have passed on the check for 100 Savannah residents this year to get ready for a higher paying job. And I've asked our community, and I'm asking our business leaders to help contribute to that. Right now we have 100. I want to get to 200 by the summer. So for businesses that want to contribute, contact our office. We will be glad to add you to that. Just as we did by setting the city employees minimum wage to $15 an hour, we want to lead by example by doing what we can to give folks the tools necessary to succeed financially. We know that if they're able to gain employment, if they're able to have that certification, they're able to feed their families, they're able to afford a home, and it goes on and on and on. Moreover, it creates an opportunity for lifelong education. And so, again, it only gets better from here, and I'm particularly reaching out to those who are just as involved, just as impacted, people who are returning from jails and prisons, people who felt like there's no opportunity for that. We don't care that you've been in jail. We don't care that you've been in prison. If you want this opportunity is for you. So $135, you can go right now to savannatech.edu /forklift-training. www.savannatech.edu /forklift-training, and you can go ahead and get involved and do that now. And we'll continue to tackle big topics such as housing affordability and food security. And again, we're looking forward to ways to help make Savannah stronger. Tomorrow, we'll be hosting an event in the 3rd District to highlight a newly improved crosswalk as the first part of our commitment to Vision Zero. Details will come out shortly from our Public Communications Office, and we hope to see you all there. As a reminder, summer is here, and so the City of Savannah is back in the fun business by offering weekly youth summer camps beginning on May the 31st through the end of July at select locations. A variety of camps will be offered, including summer arts, enrichment, recreation, and athletics. And registration began last Friday, and all camps prioritize placement for Savannah residents. Again, we don't mind having other folks, but we're going to be Savannah first. And so we will open up to non-city residents on a space available basis at an additional cost. So parents and guardians can find out details about each camp, including ages served, camp hours, and locations by visiting www.savannahga.gov/artcamp, www.savannahga.gov/artcamp, www.savannahga.gov/enrichment, ENRICHMENT, or www.savannahga.gov/rec-camp, REC-camp. And you can always find this information on our webpage, www.savannahga.gov. I'm planning to host a job fair. There are so many jobs out there in our community, and I want to create an opportunity for folks to find folks they need. We have kids that are returning home from college. We have high school students that are able to work, and we need to create that opportunity to put people with businesses that need folks that are willing to work. And so more to come on that in the coming weeks as those details come out. We want to be able to help our local businesses, and we want to help our young people and some of our older people to be able to marry. So we'll find an opportunity to put them together. So more coming on that. April is also Fair Housing Month, and to mark the occasion, we are going to have a block party at the Pennsylvania Avenue Resource Center, and that is this Saturday beginning at 10 a.m. And so this event promotes awareness of fair housing laws while informing renters, landlords, and home buyers about their rights and what they can do to get assistance. In addition, there'll be various vendors and housing-related resources available with the ability to apply for services and programs on site. So as we look forward to hopefully restarting a fair housing council, the fact is there are people every day across the country being discriminated against, and we want people to know their rights. So we're looking forward to seeing you all this Saturday beginning at 10 o'clock at the Pennsylvania Avenue Resource Center. And as we talked about job fairs, for other folks try to hire, we're trying to hire too. And so the Department of Recreation and Leisure Services is hosting a hiring event for summer lifeguards and recreation leaders on April the 16th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the SPD training facility at 3401 Edmund Street. 3401 Edmund Street. And so if you want to be a lifeguard, you know, we need other recreation leaders to help with our young, wonderful young people. Here's an opportunity for you to get engaged. Also, the Office of Human Resources will be hosting a City of Savannah fair at the Market Arena from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Friday, April the 22nd. And so this is an internal one where we're looking at Team Savannah only. But if you want to work for our organization, herein lies an opportunity for you to become a part of an outstanding organization with the most phenomenal people in the world that are dedicated to ensuring not only excellence but integrity in their services. And on Friday, you and your family could join the city manager and the Recreation and Leisure Service Department for a fun night of karaoke accompanied by the movie Sing 2. Stop by the Cloverdale Community Center this Friday at 6:30 p.m. for a free entertaining night out with the kids. So I can't wait to see him. I've seen him dance, so now we'll get a chance to see him sing. So that ends my prepared remarks, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning, sir.
Two-part question on the gun violence. You tend to have the same conversations with prosecutors. Can you talk a little bit about how you think the prosecutorial wing can help curb this? Second question, there's been criticism, even from some members of council, that part of the problem is we don't have and can't retain enough police officers in Savannah to deal with this problem. So also what do you say about that?
Well, I think I'll start with the latter first. The latter is that the uninformed thought that police officers stop crime, and that's just not true. You know, the fact of the matter is you can have a police officer in every single corner, and you still won't prevent crime. You know, the issue really is about decisions that people make. Again, we've had officers in the vicinity. We've had officers to witness parts of crimes being committed, and they could not stop the crime. I think the more important number is the 90%, particularly with violent crimes and homicides, our clearance rate that we're solving them. You know, so I think the thought that we have to hire more police officers creates a police state that none of us want. I think the issue more so is about people and the decisions that people make. Now, in terms of expanded conversations, I think we as a community have to be very, very clear and unified in the thought and belief that violent crimes, particularly those with guns, are unacceptable here. And so that we're going to go after them with everything we have, and we're going to make strong cases and strong arrests. And then our expectation is that then our prosecutorial friends, our DA, will make strong cases to judges, and the judges will sentence accordingly. That we don't need to have a revolving door of people coming into the system. It's very frustrating for police officers. You make an arrest and the person's right back out in the street. And when you look at the individuals that are doing crimes, these are people who are known to us. They are people who have been engaged in this type of behavior before. And we have to set a very clear expectation that gun violence is not acceptable in our community. We have had the federal friends at the U.S. Attorney's Office helping us prosecute some of those. That's a whole different expectation. Because when you do Fed time, you do Fed time. And that is absolutely a deterrent. And so we need to set that same expectation here, that if you play that game, you're going to play the game to the end, and the consequences are not going to be good. In terms of police officers, again, this is something that's happening across the country. The fact of the matter is that sometimes it's just not good to be a police officer. I mean, when you hear and you see the things that people say about police officers now and how police officers are treated, how they're taunted. You know, I understand it. I mean, I wore a badge. And the fact of the matter was, when I had a chance to do something different, I just went ahead and did it. You know, the fact is that also across our economy, people can make more money doing other things. I've known of police officers that started going to drive trucks. It wasn't because they necessarily hated policing, it was just they could make more money driving trucks, because that's just where our economy is going. So we have right now enough police officers to do everything we need to do. Chief Mentor and the DEAD team has done a great job and continue to identify. We don't want to hire for the sake of hiring. We don't want to just hire any warm body on the street saying we have a police officer. I think we have to be very intentional in our hiring, and I still want the police department to sometimes say no. Because there's this concept called negligent hiring. You're hiring somebody, and the fact of the matter is you hire them, and then you knew they had issues, but you hired them anyway. Or you brought them from another department. You knew they had issues, but you hired them anyway, and then it creates an issue for us. So I want us to be very diligent, very thorough in our hiring processes. And again, you find me one police agency in this country that is not having an issue recruiting police officers. And I would want to know what it is they're doing. I will also tell you that money is not the sole motivator. And so while we get into this whole bidding war with police officers, I mean, they still leave. You know, you get a hiring bonus, a signing bonus. I come, I take the money, and then I still leave. So again, it's a challenge, but we have to continue to hold law enforcement in high esteem, because I think, you know, that's part of it. You know, police officers and teachers were among the, you know, most admired in our community, and we've gotten away from that. So, you know, I try whenever I get a chance to, knowing what they go through, whenever I see officers, particularly Savannah police, or they do, I just say thank you for what you do. We thank military, we don't thank police officers enough. And anybody who wants to get up every morning and put on a uniform and go home not knowing for sure whether you will come back, that it takes a special person to do that, and that's why Savannah Police, Savannah Fire, you know, we honor them, and you know, my expectation, and I've already shared with the city manager, you know, we need mid-year. We're looking at our budget to make sure that we are competitive. We used to lead the market. We know that people have now shifted, so we'll have to shift as well. You know, we have to play that game to remain relevant, but you know. Crime is a function of people, it's not a function of police. And so when we have young people or older people making better decisions about how to resolve conflict, when we're able to get illegal guns off the streets, when we're able to stop crimes of opportunity by having people lock up their cars, take their firearms with them so that we're not recovering 483 guns, stealing 483 guns in a city in a year, we start doing better. I know you didn't ask me for all that.
Mayor,
congratulations on 4 o'clock.
Thank you. Mayor, the question I wanted to ask you, and perhaps the chief of police can come up and elaborate if you would. 31 officer shootings in Savannah.
No, 35 for the state.
35.
GBI is investigating 35 officer-involved shootings in the state. And I think that just tends to show you, again, the issue is not specific to Savannah, and it also helps to explain some of the delays in getting back the findings, because again, they're just dealing with a lot of stuff. GBI is the state's investigative agency, so they do a variety of things, and then of course, officer-involved shootings are a part of them. So it's 35 across the state.
Chief, well, you could ask, you can come up and talk about the fact that your officers are involved in shootings, which then means that they thought their lives were in jeopardy.
There are parts that, I mean, I'm not sure how much more the chief could, you know, I mean, the law is very clear of when officers are justified to use deadly force. It's very clear about what those circumstances are. And so beyond that, I think, you know, the GBI has to determine.
But can we talk to the chief in general about that?
Well, we will once I get finished. But, you know, but the law is very clear about when that happens, and it's from the officer's vantage point at that point, whether they felt like themselves they were in danger or someone was, again, immediate danger. So, Chief, again, I'm going to get finished to talk about it generally, but I will go into just caution again. These are GBI cases. So I don't want to go too far or have the chief go too far to talk about a specific case, but we'll give it to you that great.
Mr. Mayor, let's face it, guns are ubiquitous, they're everywhere, and now, we're getting to the point where you don't have to have a concealed carry permit anymore. That's been done away with, so people just feel that they can have guns any and everywhere. If they're ubiquitous, people are short-tempered, people are frustrated right now. It's just logical that it's going to happen more and more often. How can cities and counties deal with an issue that, maybe the city is making worse by just allowing anybody to have a gun anytime, anywhere?
You have asked the $10 million question, because at the end of the day, they're looking at the city of Savannah. They're not looking at the state of Georgia. And in many cases, particularly as it relates to guns, I just feel like the state works against the best interests of cities and counties. I just think they do. We should be working together. And again, we are supportive of the Second Amendment, but we also are in need of responsible gun laws. Laws that help make it difficult for those who should not have guns to have guns. Again, there is a role for us to play as well. And again, over 483 guns that are stolen. We have to get that number down. We have to get that number down. I was talking a couple of weeks ago with the mayor of New York, and he's a former police officer. We're from the same neighborhood in Brooklyn. And he was saying that the illegal guns that they get in New York, most often they find come from Georgia. That's the point. They come from Georgia, which means that there are more guns here than we can handle. It's not a policing problem. It's a people problem. We have to, again, I'm so excited about the ONE's office and certainly bringing John Bush on board, who is known in the community and known on our streets, to just be able to proactively engage and to identify, for us to be able to find ways to lessen the temperature, if you will. So, we get up every day trying to do the best we can to be able to address it. But at the end of the day, it comes down to a decision and a means. And so the state is hampering us with the means. So we have to be able to work ways of dealing with the decision. And so soon we'll begin on our 100 days of summer, and again, engaging mothers and fathers and loved ones and mothers and fathers who've lost folks, and our whole community, our mental health community, our substance abuse community, and being able to try to do what we can to turn the temperature down on this hot summer.
So essentially, I think what I'm hearing is, at this point, there's not anything concrete that the counties or the cities can do. If folks are just allowed to have it, there's nothing that you can do until after that, because they got them, temperatures are going to flare, somebody's going to use the gun first.
Well, the whole ONE's office concept is to be proactive and be predictive. So hence we're in the neighborhoods, we're hearing about beefs as they occur, and we're getting to those people. We're saying, hey, let's not do that. So I think we're doing that again. From our police intelligence, we have ways of being able to determine who our frequent flyers are, our trigger pullers, and to be able, again, identify and keep surveillance on them. And then I think proactively, again, there are people who do not belong in the streets. And we need to make sure that they're taking a trial, and if they are actively involved in suspicious activities and they're out on bond, maybe they need to go onto the house for a while. Until that happens, for their safety and for the safety of others they might get engaged in. So again, I think there are things that we can do, but again, as you rightly noted, we're often fighting one hand behind our back. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning.
So you mentioned before about the deployment of initial resources to Bryan County for the rescue effort. Are there any plans on the city's end to send over additional resources with the ongoing recovery efforts?
We do that based on request. And so, we have a tight-knit emergency community here. And so as they need us, we'll be there to help. We are proud that we have the premier, not only fire, but emergency management municipal agency here. We have firefighters that do all types of amazing things. And so we're not selfish with our blessings. We'll share and we'll help. That could have easily been us, easily. And so, as the pictures come forth, it was a scary 2 days. I thought I saw a cloud myself. I was riding to Hinesville and I saw something that looked really, really, really suspicious. And I was transfixed just looking at it. And I'm like, wow, stop, turn around, go the other way.
So at this time, no, there are no more civil resources going there?
Not as I know right now. Right. What we'll do is, if we're requested and we have to send out an additional resource, we'll release that. Thank you. Anything else, Chief? Oh, for me? Or Chief?
And I hope we hear from the Chief as well.
Yeah.
The question I'm asking, so the new rules passed involving easy access for people in the state of Georgia to carry guns now. Do you expect the ripple effect to be an increase in crime in your city?
I think that the increase will be an increase in gun-related incidents. Again, if there are more guns, there are more guns. We keep with the current trends. More guns out there, more guns to steal, end up illegal guns in our communities. More illegal guns in our communities mean more opportunities to hurt, harm, injure, or kill somebody. We'll wait and see what that means. Again, we were aggressively addressing gun issues in our community. We partner with folks to explain what this means to communities. The Georgia chiefs, Georgia sheriffs, and other agencies talked about what this means for them across our state. And so, we wait and see what the results are. But we want to make sure that we've done what we could to be able to articulate what happens in Atlanta, how it affects places like Savannah. And so, although it's unacceptable to us, we also recognize that the state has an opportunity, and I think the responsibility to do all they can to support us, to help us keep our residents safe. Chief? You had another question?
Yeah,
No. It's Edwin. Oh.
Yeah, I did want to ask the Chief if he...
Oh, no. Okay. Edwin, it's me or for Chief? Okay. All right, hold up. All right, go ahead.
You mentioned once, we've all interviewed Mr. Bush. He seems very dedicated. He knows the community. I'm wondering, when are we going to see some specifics for that $1 billion he has to spend in the community as far as tackling this issue?
Well, I think that some of it is not only in building credibility, but it's also about building relationships. I would suspect that we're able to help bring together supportive networks as Savannah Impact comes online, as we continue to expand the work with Savannah Cares, which deals with people that are returning, not Savannah Cares, I'm sorry, ARCS, which deals with restorative communities for those that are justice involved, that the menu of these things will help see a reduction in crime. We know that before crime happens, there's always some issue that is out there. And again, it's a variety of issues. If it's a drug rip, for example, well, we know the person's out there selling drugs. Let's find ways to get in between that. If it's issues of domestic violence, we have partners of safe shelter. Let's find ways to be able to deal with that. April is Sexual Assault Month, so let's find ways to help uplift those. April is Child Abuse Month. Let's find ways to be able to do that. And so when you're in neighborhoods and when you're in communities, you recognize that people are dealing with a whole bunch of issues. And so let's try to do what we can to deal with those issues. Partly why I'm so excited about the forklift certification. You know, I'd rather you put the gun down and get a forklift certification so you can make some money at Rockingham Farms and these other warehouses so that you don't have to be engaged in gun violence. So our goal is to create pathways and off-ramps for people that are engaged in violent crime. If they want to get out of it, we're going to help them. But our expectation of our criminal justice community is for people who want to be about that life, that they will suffer the consequences of being in that life. And that means that they will be removed from this community for a significant part of amount of time. That's why I appeal to mothers and fathers. I know I am a mama's boy, I'm a daddy's boy, and so I know my parents can get me to do things that I would not want to do. And there are parents who know, they know their kids are engaged in that. And so it has to be a little more than praying for them. It has to say, stop it. I need you to stop it. I need you to stop it. Because again, we don't want to have another mother crying over the loss of their son. We don't want to have another mother crying or father crying in a courtroom when a child is sent away for a life sentence. Again, these things can be prevented. And so we want to do our part. And I want to make sure that the city of Savannah has their foot on the gas as they're doing to what we can do. And then our challenge to our greater community, to include our county partners, our state partners, is do the best you can do. And then together we're able to eradicate this problem. I will not accept responsibility of the city of Savannah solely for this issue. But I acknowledge fully that the city of Savannah has a part to play, a significant part to play in being able to do that. And so we're doing that by enhancing lives and creating opportunities for people to do better and make other decisions. So he's going to do it later? Okay. All right, well, thank you all so much, and we appreciate it. We hope you all have a great week and hopefully a much better weather than we've had. Thank you.